Mi nombre es Albaluz Santa Cruz. Y nosotros le decimos a la gente pues que hay que sembrar lo bueno, no hay que, por lo menos a mí fue una de las que me pasó uno de esos casos que tuve un muchacho que por ganarse 100,000 pesos pues ya me lo mataron.
77 años y todavía. Una niña la cogieron el martes y la aporrearon ahí, pisoteaba a un compañero y partió las costillas.
Almost anywhere you ask a Colombian or Latin American farmer their story, fear is always the most common emotion.
Latin America and Colombia specifically have historically faced different expressions of violence, including drug trafficking, paramilitarism, and armed groups outside the law.
Since the 70s, drug trafficking has been the core of violence in the country because it's been a fund source for organized crime and narco-terrorism.
Brazil, Mexico, Peru, Ecuador, Venezuela are other of the countries that are facing directly the worst phase of drug trafficking.
In the countryside, farmers have to grow illicit crops to feed their family, but at the same time, they have the fear that their children will be abused or even killed by the organized crime that pays for those crops.
Therefore, the most vulnerable population has been farmers.
By reducing illicit crops such as cocaine, cannabis, or opium poppies, the funds and the productive activities of the main criminal organizations are reduced too.
The issue is that farmers do not choose illicit crops. They turn to it because it's productive enough to survive.
So, the only humanitarian way of reducing illicit crop while increasing the profit of farmers is substitution.
When farmers can grow different types of crops that are as rentable as illicit crops, then a peaceful and dignified transition is possible.
Cacao has proven to be the best option. In fact, in Colombia, more than 8,000 lives depend directly on it as an escape from violence.
And more than 65,000 families rely on this production to survive.
El cacao fue la herramienta, fue el camino que nos condujo a entender que dentro del marco legal también tenemos oportunidades y el cacao colombiano brille por su calidad y especialmente por su aporte a la paz y a la reconciliación y a la sustitución de cultivos de coca en Colombia. Ser ilegal no es bonito, ser ilegal no es una elección. El campesino no elige ser ilegal.
For cacao to be a viable alternative, it must be profitable enough for farmers.
There are three main challenges of the cacao chain:
Production, transformation, commercialization, and consumption. Our service aims to tackle these three challenges so that cacao becomes an applicable alternative.
In terms of production, cacao is especially vulnerable to a disease called moniliasis, caused by the fungus Moniliophthora rorei.
Moniliasis can destroy between 90% of the entire harvest if it's not treated.
And between 70 and 80% when it's not treated on time, being the greatest risk against cacao productivity.
We are proud to introduce AgroSencore,
A company whose core service consists on an AI-powered device
that uses computer vision and deep neural networks to detect moniliasis on time.
so that it is possible to treat it and save the harvest, increasing productivity. This AI-powered service will not only be able to detect the illness,
but additionally, it is meticulously designed so that the interface that interacts with the farmer
Also, accustom him or her to the ordinary operations of technological devices.
while giving him or her recommendations on how to treat the crops.
and accompanying him in the commercialization process.
Therefore, our service consists of two main components:
The hardware, consisting in a device made up of
a touch screen connected to a computing board able to process data using machine learning.
specifically the NVIDIA Jetson Nano Developer Kit, which is a small, cheap, and powerful.
That let us run multiple neural networks in parallel,
The Jetson Nano will also be connected to the environmental sensors module.
which gives the processor the ability to recollect environment data.
Yet, the principal source of data for making the diagnosis will be a small camera with at least 0.16 megapixels of resolution.
Last but not least, a rechargeable energy source of 12 volts,
The software.
the interface of the AI-powered device that will interact directly with the farmer in such a way that it is intuitive, almost appealing to the natural instinct. This interface has three tasks.
First, to provide the diagnosis of the state of the crop, as well as recommendations of how to treat it.
Second, to include a platform to communicate with other farmers and provide information about cacao production.
Third, a portal to connect with potential buyers and commerciants. This task is made to tackle commercialization and transformation challenges, as well as stimulate consumption, increasing the supply in the market.
On the other hand, the heart of our service is the artificial intelligence algorithm that detects the disease and provides diagnosis. The structure of our model consists in two stages. Firstly, the image processing, and second, the disease detection.
Pre-processing consists in preparing the images taken by the farmer to be processed correctly.
Neural networks have proven to have the higher proficiency rate in the identification of disease based on computer vision.
Both hardware and software make a complete service that assists peasant communities
by providing them a tool to detect malillas on time just by taking a picture and exposing the sensors,
as well as a complete accompaniment during the commercialization and interaction with the digital world.
In the most optimal conditions, we can calculate a 90% of accuracy, which can reduce the cacao loss down to 5% compared to the 70% to 80% without implementation. Considering factors the farmers' purchasing power, to make the service a reality, we have three gross income sources.
The cost of the service itself, given not to a farmer, but to a community or guild.
Commissions to the buyers in order to be included on the interface.
And the alliance with fertilizer and chemical companies used to treat cocoa crops in exchange for being included in our recommendations.
Our target market starts from Colombia, particularly the regions of Santander, Antioquia, and Boyacá.
Once we get to be profitable, expand internationally to the biggest cacao producers developing countries in Latin America and in the long term in Africa.
Our project is much more cost effective compared to other competitors in the market, since we don't need to use servers or cloud processing as it would be in a mobile app.
Additionally, even though the market already uses similar technologies, most of them only have one gross income, and they are only tackling the productivity challenge,
which has not allowed them to grow in the market.
Also, we have started alliances with farmer communities and cocoa guilds in Santander and Boyacá.
Such is the case of Distrito Chocolate, a small business run by farmers who left illicit crops to sell chocolate made out of cacao.
The purchasing power of this type of organization is higher because it involves more than 1,300 farmers and buyers.
To recap, in order to combat drug trafficking and support one of the most vulnerable populations in developing countries, farmers,
alternatives for illicit crops must be guaranteed, cacao being the most promising one.
Artificial intelligence is the best path to achieve high rates of productivity while bringing technology to historically disconnected areas.
AgroSencore dreams of a society that uses technology to bring peace, equality, and sustainability. Let's work together so that no more mothers, fathers, children, or friends have to be victims of this terrible monster.
Yo sí quiero ver esta zona, y no solo esta zona, sino el país, en que haya una completa paz, una paz verdadera. Que ver que toda esa gentecita tenga los mismos derechos que lo tienen los de corbata.